Hello and welcome to my illusion guide for Skyrim. So illusion magic lets you control enemies' behavior. There are 4 types of spells that let you control behavior. There is Pacify, which I will show you right now. This dude's aggressive. Let's equip a Pacify or Calm spell, hit him with it. And now he is pacified. And he no longer wants to fight us for 30 seconds. Now if we hit him, he becomes hostile, so let's do that. So now he's hostile, so that's Pacify. It calms a foe temporarily, and then if you hit them or they take damage, they will become hostile again. So let's show you Fear, another control spell. Foes will run away from you in fear. So this is really useful for getting damage in, because they will just be afraid of you. You can just damage them as much as you want. Another type of spell is Frenzy, which in a perfect world causes enemies to kill each other. However, in a lot of cases, they will still go after you, even while frenzied. So, one thing you can do is you can fear them, get them to go near their boys. I can see them fighting over there because I can see the damage markers. So he's going to run away from me. Just get him to... Come on. Go with your boys. Alright, so it looks like... I'm assuming the archer won that fight. Yeah, that archer is one-shotting me every time I record this. So I have to be like insanely careful. So I'm just gonna fear this. Whoa, buddy, chill out. All right, so let's just use fear. I find fear to be more useful than frenzy, because that's interesting. So he's still frenzied, so he's trying to hunt that. Whoa. Okay, so let's use our magic. All right, so this is where fear is useful. You have a really crazy enemy, you can just fear it, and he'll just run away. So I frenzied this. I'm not really sure where he's going. Or I might have feared him. Okay, I did fear him. I had fear equipped instead of frenzy. So everything just runs away from you. So let's hit this with frenzy and just run. You can sneak, you can hide. So even though this is frenzied and the other thing is not, this is still considered an enemy to that mage, and she'll start just DPSing him a bit. So those are your main control effects. You also have Invisibility, which helps with sneak and assassin builds and thieves, and you have Muffle, which same thing, it helps with those. Those are your main powerful effects, though. So like Fear, Frenzy, Calm, Rally. Rally is I would say the worst. I would say Fear is the best for sure. Frenzy can be really strong when used correctly, but in your average fight, Frenzy just isn't really helping you. Like, I can frenzy this right now, but it's not going to do anything, so I'm better off just fearing him. So in one-on-ones, fear is objectively better than frenzy. When there's multiple foes, however, frenzy is definitely better, especially if you use it at range, because then the foes will just start attacking each other. When foes are already aware of you, it's not nearly as effective. So this is the power of fear. Like, this dude just runs away from me the whole fight, and I can just take his stuff and kill him. So that's very good. So I'm going to quickly go over the perks now. So, oops, it's this way. Illusion magic. Alright, so you always need to get Novice Illusion. That's absolutely necessary. You'd always want to get dual casting, because it causes the affected level of the spell to be 2.2 times the level listed. So if it says it affects like a level 10 enemy, and you dual cast it, it'll affect up to level 22. So this is very useful for increasing the level of the affected foe. So you absolutely need to get this, especially as you level up past like 30. You always need to get Hypnotic Gaze, Aspect of Terror, and Rage. The reason for that is it scales your Calm, Fear, and Frenzy spell levels so that they work on higher level opponents. And they also stack with Animage and Kindred Mage, which Animage increases the level affected animals by 8. It's also hidden, so like because it doesn't globally buff the spell, it won't state that in the spell. So like let's say it affects like level 10 foes, it'll affect level 18 animals. And then if you dual cast it, it'll be 2.2 times that value. And then for Kindred Mage, it scales the level of affected people by 10. So if it states level 10, it now affects level 20. And if you dual cast it, it would affect level 44. So that's very good. Another way to boost your affected level is to become a vampire. That'll scale all illusion magic by 25%, increasing the level you can affect foes. You can also get quiet casting to silently cast spells. This can be useful for any build, especially sneak builds. I personally don't run sneak builds. I used to, but I find it just like takes a lot of time, and I'm like impatient. So you also have Master of the Mind, which causes your spells to no longer be useless against undead, Daedra, and automatons. The big downside of illusion is it requires an insane level of investment to get it to be good. And if you don't, you can't just like casually run it. And because if you do, you're not going to be affecting things that consistently. Staying at a low level can help you too, because it'll prevent enemies from leveling up too high. Certain enemies are always a high level, so you'll always probably want to get at least 100 illusion or at least 90 illusion for Master of the Mind. Just because if you go into any kind of ruins for the most part, or like dungeons, if there's any undead or Daedra or like dwarven creatures, like you're just not going to do anything. Your spells are going to do literally nothing. So another thing to note, Aspect of Terror will scale fire damage in unmodded vanilla Skyrim if you have Intense Flames, and it'll boost all fire damage because it now considers fire fear spells, which is interesting. Another thing is that Necromage and Restoration should scale the passive of your vampirism, and also this is good if you're going to be a vampire anyways. It makes spells more effective against yourself, which is nice, and it also affects spells used against the undead. So if, like, let's say a spell says fear up to level 30, it makes it, I think, 25% more effective, so it would scale it a little bit just against undead, so that can be useful against like high level Draugr. So those are like the perks you generally will want to get. Conjuration is really good with illusion because you can summon something out of combat and then it fights it, and then you can like control things with Pacify, Frenzy, Fear. Fear, especially with Conjuration, is insane because you can just summon dudes and then fear things, then just you and your summon just wail on things, so that's pretty good. You always probably want to run either archery or some kind of melee weapon. In this case, I'm just using two-handed for no particular reason. I would say archery is the best thing to run, especially if you're running a sneak build, but then you're just a sneak archer. So yeah, that's illusion. It's pretty strong when you invest in it, but if you don't heavily invest in it, it like really falls off as you level up. So you can also boost it with potions. There's some other ways to boost, but those are, the main ones are vampirism, potions, and the perks. So yeah, that's my illusion video. Thanks for checking this out, and I'll see you in the next one.